Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon with the Kent Intermediate School District's Workforce Development Team, and I'm so glad to have Heidi VanderKlok with us today. She is the owner of Heidi Salon here in Grand Rapids area, and she's a cosmetologist and an advocate. So we're going to hear about her career path today. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you very much, Krista. It's a pleasure to be here.
So one of the things we love to do on Career Chats, Heidi, is to take people back to their high school age and, kind of find out what they were thinking. So when you were in high school, 15 or 16, did you think you'd grow up to be a salon owner? Tell us about your thinking back then.
Actually, it was second semester of my sophomore year is when I started KCTC. It was called Kent Skill Center back in that day. And my career counselor in high school asked me if I would do the cosmetology program. And I said, well, let me talk to my mom and dad, So I went and talked to my mom and dad. And my dad's like, oh my gosh, go. If you don't want to do cosmetology, just learn it and cut hair in the dorms. I'm like, okay, I can do that. And so I told my career counselor, okay, my dad said I can do it. So I started, and I absolutely fell in love with all of my teachers and with the whole like giving to others kind of feeling that cosmetology is. Like, I loved it. When I was 15, I was learning how to do curls and little things like that at the very beginning. And the thing that was hard for me is during the cosmetology days, we had to do 6 weeks in the summer to keep our cosmetology hours for the state of Michigan. So, because it is a state licensed occupation. And so that was the tough part, but the people I went to school with were so kind, and the teachers were so intelligent and kind. And when I screwed up, they didn't make me feel dumb because you do when you're learning. And we had this one teacher, her name was Mrs. English, and she was like everybody's grandma. Everyone loved her. And one of my teachers, Mrs. Landman, became like a second mom to me. I used to go to her house on Saturdays and ride with her to school every Saturday. Everyone was so sweet and giving.
That's amazing. I think it's interesting that your school counselor saw something in you that she even suggested it to you. What do you think she noticed about you, your personality or your interest, that she even suggested that?
Well, the funny story about that is my career counselor said, Heidi, every single person that we've sent from Lowell has not worked out, and we want to send someone that's going to work out. Will you please go? I'm like, well, are you sure you want to send me? Because, it's up to you. And she's like, yes, I do. So that was cute.
So they knew that you were going to be a good representation of your high school, and she obviously knew you enough, and it was the right fit, that these teachers were so impactful, that you love the service aspect of giving to your clients. So you went there to KCTC, it's in-school program, and then you graduate. What'd you decide? Because that was maybe just cutting hair in the dorms, but you decided, no, I'm going to stick with this.
Yes, I graduated January of my senior year. And the funniest thing about it is my senior year, I think I cut every single teacher that worked at Lowell High School's hair in my kitchen. And all of my classmates and half the football team, I mean, everyone came over for haircuts in my kitchen. And some of those people are still customers today. Oh, wow. At Heidi Salon. Yes. So I always thought January of my senior year, I was only 17, and I was already a licensed cosmetologist. So
you were obviously very good. For teachers to let a 17-year-old cut their hair, you must have been doing something right.
Oh, that was funny. Yes. And it was really, my experience at KCTC was so life-changing for me. It gave me so much confidence in the cosmetology industry and in a personal growth. After I graduated from high school, I started at Panopolis Salons, which is at the time, it was the #1 salon in the whole area. And I started there and I was 17. And I worked there for 5 years. And when I was 22, I started Heidi Christine's salon. But I've already been doing hair for 5 years. So 22 didn't seem odd. But now I look, know other 22-year-olds. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that when I was 22.
Well, tell us more about that though, because you've been doing hair for 5 years. You're obviously successful. You're at the top salon already. So what goes through your head to be able to hang a shingle and create your own salon? Tell us what was going on.
Well, I worked for 4 years in the Grand Rapids, East Grand Rapids location on basically Breton and Burton. And the last year of my employment with Panopolis, I was I moved to East Lansing and opened a salon in Lansing. And I worked there for a year and it was so wonderful. I was the artistic director of that new location and I got it going. It was doing very well. We had the salons fully staffed and employees were just amazing and was doing very, very well. And so I asked Panopolis, can I please come back to the Grand Rapids area? My brother and sister are still in school and I want to kind of be with my family because I'm very family oriented. My brother was 11 and my sister was 9. And then my other brother was in college. And so I wanted to kind of be with my mom and dad and my brother and sister. I go, I'll work at the Cascade Panopolis. Please bring me back. And they said, no, you can't come back. We need you there. And so I came home for dinner with my family and I started crying and I'm like, they won't bring me back. I'm missing my family. I'm missing my brother and sister growing up and it makes me sad. And my sister, she's 9, she starts crying and my mom said, let's open a salon for Heidi and Ada. And that's how Heidi Christine started around the dinner table. And so I moved back to my mom and dad's and we laid our own tile, painted our own walls, and got our salon in Ada started. And my mom and I were partners at that point.
I am blown away by a couple things, and I want to point this out to young people who are watching this, is the gumption to just take a step of action. But really at 21, you were selected to be a director of a new location. I mean, let's not let that slip by. Let's just focus on that for a minute. We will definitely get to these additional things, but what do you think, as far as traits about yourself, Heidi, that was giving the confidence to those owners for you to do? Let's talk about what it takes to be successful in this industry, so young people can kind of do some self-assessment to see if this works for them.
I've always been a goal-oriented person. I'm on a Zoom call. My kids are walking in. I'm always been a goal-oriented person and every day I would get to work when I was brand new in the industry. I would look at my schedule and I would stand there with an adding machine. You know what those are? And I would ring up my day, like it would say haircut, perm, haircut. So I'd ring it all up. And it was, let's say, $100. So I'm like, okay, how can I take this $100? My goal was always to take my day, what it read, and make it more. So I'd be like, how could I take this $100 and make it more? And of course, it would be getting more people. But I'm like, okay, now if I turn this perm into a design wrap, it will go from $50 to $60. So I do that. Now, if I put a conditioner on this haircut, I try to figure out how I could always beat my own goal. And that was my goal. And then when I had free time, I always helped out in the front area, helping with retail and things like that. And so my goal was to sell 2 products a day. I did that every day I worked. I honestly always did that. And at Panopolis and at Heidi Christine's, there was levels, like a first level stylist, a second level, third level, fourth level, and then the master stylist top level. So I figure out how much I had to do a day, 8 weeks straight, to move up to the next level. And I'd always personally hit my goal in 8 weeks. And so I was like the fastest growing stylist in the history of Panopolis at that time.
Wow.
And
Yeah, so
there was a
goal-oriented for you is
yes,
really very concrete of setting very specific goals and setting your eyes higher. That's amazing.
Yes. So that was my professional. That's what I did.
That's
So there was a artistic team too that Panopolis had, and it was people that would be in front of others and teach a technique. And so I wanted to be that person. Like, I was just turned 18 and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be that person. So I used to go to those classes and volunteer to do all the makeup and get everyone ready for that. And so I kept volunteering until finally I got to be on stage, and then I just kept growing with the company really quickly.
Well, that's fantastic. So. And I love the fact that you had such a supportive family that you were able to come back home and say, my heart is here and I don't want to be in Lansing anymore. And your family was amazing and said, let's do this. So your mom and you start, because obviously you've proven that you're going to be good at this career. And just at young age, you already knew you're going to be successful, being so goal-oriented and obviously talented at your craft, right? Because people aren't going to come back if you're not good at it. So tell us about that early thinking of what the salon would look like, just being an entrepreneur. Let's just shift that focus. How did that go?
Well, I had these little goals. So when I worked at Panopolis, we had to all have uniforms. We had to wear what we did. We couldn't step out of the box. And when I was on the design team, they used to always say, we need to panopolize our new person. And so I said, when I open my new salon, I want everyone to wear whatever they want to wear. Whatever there is their artistic freedom, go for it. And if I show you a new technique, take my technique and your technique and then mix it and make your own technique from it. That's the cool thing. And so I like the freedom, and everyone has their own way, and I love that. So I'm sorry,
employer. You took something that maybe wasn't a real positive at your other employer and really focused in on letting people have their artistic freedom in your salon. And of course, I would think people would really like that, and you were able to retain your stylists really well that way.
I hope so. I mean, we have a training program when we hire someone, and I always have, but I would tell them, whatever I teach you, pick up 1 or 2 aha moments and put it into your own art. I'm not saying you have to do it this way, do it your own way.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because when I think of cosmetologists and my own personal one, I mean, you really are artists, and that's one of the traits that I've noticed for people who are successful in that area. So tell us about, were you artistic as a child? How did some of these things maybe show themselves when you were younger?
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I had a Chrissy doll where you pull the hair and then you turn it, and I just stuff like that. But it was more my career counselor in high school that believed in me, that had me do that.
I love it. So
just 1 second here. Andy, yeah, please go in a different room. Thank you.
Your mom's becoming a star. Tell them that
it's hard to be a mom and everything all in one, but it's been beneficial.
Yeah, they forget that you're a star right now. You're our featured career mentor.
They don't
So
even know that.
I know. You can show them the video later. We're talking about them right now. That's hilarious.
Thank you.
So you have this training program, you did the painting and get your little salon going. So tell us some of those early years of how you learned on the job, and did you take business classes? Like, how did you make this happen to where it is today?
So when I was at Panopolis, I felt when I was 17 and 18, I felt like I needed more than just doing hair because I was so young. So I did take classes to be in management at Panopolis. I took human relations and business class. I also took a design class at Kendall. And I just, I took a photography class and I learned so much about photography and things like that that would help in my industry. And then after I started Heidi Christine's, there was a perm company that was hiring platform artists. And what a platform artist is it's a person, it was before the internet, before you could see hair shows on your phone. You would have to travel to a different state and you would go on stage and show work. And so the day before, you pick your model, you pre-do all the hair and everything for a big hair show. And then hundreds, thousands of people would go to these shows and you'd be on stage with lights and camera and it's just really crazy. And this perm company, someone recommended me and they wanted me to be a platform artist. So I did perm platform artist, and then that company then went from there into starting a color line. So I actually helped that company, which is called Tressa, write their whole color manual because for some reason, with my background going to Kendall and understanding art and color and things like that, I spoke the right language, I guess. And then I did that. And then Vivian McKinner is a person in our industry that's amazing. And she called me. She goes, Heidi, I've seen you on stage more than once. Now I want you to come work for Matrix. So then I went to work for Matrix and I did hair shows all over the world and went on stage and showed color and cutting and just a lot of different things.
Yeah, and that's so important for young people to understand. Like most careers, there's a journey that happens. It's not like you're doing the same thing. If you have an interest and start taking these additional classes and being good at what you do, people will start to recruit you because you're good at what you do. And so
that seriously happens.
Yeah. So were you able to you were still managing Heidi Christine's when you were working for Matrix, for example?
Oh yeah. So I did hair Monday through Friday, or sometimes Monday through Thursday. And then I would get on a plane on Friday night and fly into a new city and then have a model call in the morning, do all my models on Saturday, do my show on Sunday, fly home Sunday night and do my clients on Monday. And it was a lot of work, but it definitely was very rewarding. And I mean, I was single, why not? I didn't even have a dog. So I'm like,
I think you bring up a good point. There's a couple things I want to focus in on. You mentioned you're single, so that lifestyle worked really well for you. And you mentioned being a mom. And then I do want to go into the training for someone that is interested in this. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But how does that life family balance for cosmetology work for most people?
So I started my salon when I was 22 and I got married when I was 32. So for 10 years, I was dedicated to Heidi Christine's, basically my industry, working for Tressa, working for Matrix, and doing hair shows. I did hair shows all the time. I mean, I turned 30 in Japan and it just, you just do that. And the way I met my husband was someone introduced me to him, because only people I really got to know was people in my chair and things like that. And when you own your own business, I mean, you work Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, you clean your salon. I mean, it's when you own your own business, it's hard to get extra things, but I did. I met my husband at the time, and he was an amazing basketball player, and I watched him play Macker. So that was fun. I used to play Macker too.
Oh, that's wonderful. You have that in common. I love that.
Yeah.
So, like you say, you become really good friends with your clients. You mentioned you have some clients that you've had since the beginning. So they get to know you and they can be, instead of a dating app, you had real people looking out for you. I love that.
Well, I had this amazing apprentice. So at Heidi Christine's, we also, instead of going to beauty school, we do apprenticeship programs. And it's 2 years, and it's 25 hours a week for 2 years. And one of my very first apprentices introduced me to her husband's brother. And that's who I married. And from age 32 to 38, we tried and we couldn't conceive. And so I was blessed to adopt a beautiful girl from the Philippines. And I didn't get her until I was 40. So that's how kind of my family worked out.
Well, I love that you're able to be a mom and that your lifestyle with your company has allowed you to do that. That's wonderful.
The Lord had the plan for me to be a mom later in life. And during the moments, it's challenging because you want to be a mom when everybody else is, but it was the right thing. And then I remarried after my daughter was 9. And then I got 2 sons. So 8 and 7. So I had 7, 8, 9 when I remarried.
Oh, so there it is. Instant family right there.
Yes, yes.
So for students who are, yeah, that's awesome. So for students interested in this field of cosmetology, you mentioned beauty school. Help us understand how that works. Give them the inside scoop that you want to make sure they're making good choices with that training option. And then maybe compare and contrast that of how this apprenticeship is and what that is so they understand some of their choices.
Okay, that's a really good question. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and we do an apprenticeship, and it's I can only have 2 apprentices per license, and it takes 2 years, and it's 25 hours a week that you have to be at the salon. And as an apprentice at Heidi Christine's, it's not like this everywhere. Everyone has their own routine. So, but at Heidi Christine's, we have one day that's like your book day where you learn, classroom day. Then the other days are behind the chair, and you learn that way. And our training program is amazing. It really, really is. But I knew that for my daughter that I didn't want her to train in the salon. She pretty much grew up at the salon. She is an amazing receptionist. So I wanted her to go to beauty school, because after we hire from beauty school, we have a year training for beauty school people. So I toured 5 different schools, and I learned a lot about all the schools, and they're all amazing schools. I toured Douglas J, the one in Lansing, the one in Grand Rapids. We toured Paul Mitchell in Grand Rapids. We toured Tulip City Beauty School in Holland, and we toured the Salon Professional Academy in Holland. And so we tried to look within, Lansing and Holland is basically both similar from where we live. So we looked everywhere. And beauty school, it can be about from like $24,000 to $30,000. It's 11 months, and it's if you do full time. There is another salon school that we were going to look at called the French Academy, but that's in Grand Haven, but we pretty much found one that we really liked. So we decided to go beauty school route, and it's going to be full time for her. And when she graduates next August, she'll start at Heidi Christine South as a new employee.
It's wonderful to hear that you found something that fits for her. I guess what young people might be surprised about is that cost. Is that something that, you know, financial aid will help with? Do people have to pay, do they have to take student loans, or is it allowed to take student loans out for that training?
Yes, I just learned everything about, yes, that you can take a student loan for that. You can also do, look for different financial aid. It just depends. You just talk to, each school was different that way, and there is a financial person at each school. So I recommend that you talk to them about what you can afford and how you can afford it. They have monthly payments. They have all different ways. So as an apprentice at Heidi Christine's, it's about $3,000, and that just pays for all your tools. So that's about all it is for to apprentice.
That's great. So are you getting paid then while you learn for those 2 years? Is that the structure like a traditional construction apprentice?
Actually, you do not get paid. The state of Michigan has different bylaws, and one of them is you do not get paid.
Okay.
So you're there 25 hours a week, and you're basically getting your $30,000 education through that way.
So that's just, so different depending on someone's life circumstances. They don't have to pay their own rent or whatever that might be, a way they don't have to take out student loans. And,
exactly.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I know other salons also do apprenticeship programs. So
yeah, I don't think I knew that those were active in this area as far as the training opportunities. That's great for young people.
They are. I know there's a person that goes to our church that owns a Great Clips, and he does apprenticeship programs too. So
awesome.
Yeah.
We have about 2 minutes left, Heidi, Christine, and looking back at your career or just some of the interactions you've had with young people, what would you like them to know about your industry that might be a myth? Something that they see on TV, or just things like, no, that's not the way it really is. What would you like them to know?
As far as a myth, oh boy, let's see. I think that if you're going to enter this industry, you have to have a giving spirit and a caring heart. Like, that is probably most of the people that I work with, their hearts are so beautiful, and it's just amazing how the relationships that you build with your clients are like family, basically. It's so crazy. But I've been doing this over 40 years. So these people have been my clients for a long time. But I mean, even some of my girls that have been in it for 5 years, I see their relationships, and it's beautiful. And to enter this industry, that is something you definitely have to do. And you have to wear very comfortable shoes because you're on your feet a very long time.
That's important. Like, I know my stylist too. Like, we became friends after she did my hair, and we invited each other to our weddings of our children and all that. And do you think part of the personality is even being a counselor at some level? I feel like you guys listen to the woes of the world in your chair, and just an encourager, right? Would that be a good trait, to be an encourager?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I had a sweet person in my chair. I've never done her hair before. And she just started crying and said she's going through a divorce. Her husband left her for another person. I never met this person in my life. And we left hugging, and I'm there for her. And she still comes in and just loves every time she comes in, so it's a very awesome. I think if you want to be successful at any career, no matter what you choose, if you want to be a bartender, a waitress, or, if you want to be a teacher or a counselor, anything, if you fall in love with your future, you will be successful. I guarantee that.
Well, I've heard a lot of joy coming out of your our chat today, and it's so nice to meet people who love their work and have found such a satisfying career. So it's so nice to meet you. I'm going to let you finish with the final word of wisdom, and then we're going to let you get back to your day. But what would you like just to finish up with these young people?
Well, I am blessed that my brother and sister, who I wanted to be home for, now my sister is a hairdresser. My brother runs the company. So right now, my family business is my mom, my sister, my brother, and myself. And to be successful, you have to allow other people to take the reins sometimes. You can't control it when you own something. And now it's even more successful because my brother and sister are both amazing. So I recommend if you have a family business, sometimes you just have to let everyone take their specialty and run with it.
I love that. I love that. That allows you to do additional things now. Thank you for sharing your time with us today.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity and for calling me. It was nice to meet you, Krista.
You too.